Hey guys, how are you doing? My name is Katharyne Shelton, and today I wanted to talk about brainstorming. We're going to get creative and get brainstorming ideas for information products using the Formulizer tool in Tangent. Now, before we get started, I know there's a few questions to answer. The first thing, what is Tangent? It is a software suite developed by Isaac and myself that generates that helps you generate lots of ideas, whether you're selling products, creating products. It's basically a huge creativity tool. It covers keywords, niches, color palettes, keyword ideas, product ideas, resources, and it includes the Tangent Explorer, which allows you to go and research public domain artworks, news articles, trends, and all kinds of information about anything you are interested in. So it's a very big system. It's easy to use, it's fun to use, but today we're going to focus on the Formulizer. So before we do that, the second question is, what is an information product? Well, an information product can really vary in scale. At the simplest end of it, an information product could just be a handout. It could literally be a piece of paper with a chart, a list, a calendar that maybe you give away free at a trade show or a convention, or maybe you give it away on your website as what's called a lead magnet, something that you give away free in exchange for someone's permission to email people. That's a very big thing in internet marketing at the moment. At the other end of the scale, it could be something like a whole course. That's the kind of information product I tend to make. I tend to make large video courses and classes, but it could also be something in between, like maybe you create a 10-minute video. So let's say, for example, your product or the niche you are in is knitting and you sell knitting needles on Amazon. You could expand your brand by creating 10-minute videos showing how to actually knit certain projects. You could either give those away free to promote your knitting needles, or you could sell them as standalone videos. And the great thing now is that we have so many ways to sell information products. I love Gumroad, personally, Gumroad.com. I use them to sell things like calendars, lists of events, lists of niches I've researched. Basically, I do research, put it into a PDF file, sell those on Gumroad. That's one thing I love doing. You can also put your information into books, CDs, DVDs, sell them on Amazon. It's pretty awesome using CreateSpace. So there's a lot of places that you can sell information products and reach a big audience. Now, the next question I have to answer is, what is a magic formula? Because if we click through to the Formulizer, you can see that the first thing it says is generate a magic formula. Well, last year I created a course called Magic Formulas, and the concept behind it was that there is a way of structuring information that puts it in a way that people find really palatable. Like, for example, I could write a whole book about weight loss. However, you could look at a company like Weight Watchers who have actually gamified the concept of losing weight by adding points to food. It's like a very, very simple concept, but it makes that whole sort of concept into a thing, into a system, into a structure. So magic formulas are really about adding structure to your information. And one great way of doing that, game mechanics are huge. Everywhere you look right now, people are adding gamification to their products. Starbucks, for example, just announced that they're going to do a crystal ball frappuccino, which comes with a mystery topping. That's such a gamified concept, that randomizing thing. Magic formulas don't have to be games. Other magic formulas, for example, could include system structures like the 5 Ps. So, for example, if you were doing a program about weight loss, you could do the 5 Ps of weight loss, which would be like perseverance, psychology, place, like being in the right place to lose weight, and so on. I'm just making this up off the top of my head. I'm sure it's not a very good system. But these are ways of structuring a program. And really, when you think about it, really simple systems, a lot of the most popular systems are actually super simple. For example, the Pomodoro timing method. I was just talking about this morning. All the Pomodoro method is that you can work in 25-minute blocks and then take 5-minute breaks, and then that's like supposedly the ultimate way to achieve productivity. All they did really was gamify time. They created a structure around time. And the cool thing is, you can structure anything, and there are a lot of different ways of structuring things. So what I've done in the Formulizer is we have, first of all, a list of categories, things that, and think of these maybe as niches, things like everyday activities, life transitions, and seasonal events. So for example, everyday activities are things like babysitting, cleaning the house, and KonMari would be a great example of a system for cleaning house. And again, it's very, very simple. You go in your closet, you pick something up and you go, does this, I can't remember what the phraseology or the terminology is, but I think it's like, does this give me good vibes? Does this feel like a good thing? Okay, then I'll keep it. If not, chuck it out. So a lot of popular systems are based around a magic formula, and you can totally create magic formulas. So for example, let's take the Pomodoro method, and what they have done is just gamified productivity using time. Now, you could maybe gamify productivity by saying, okay, let's work in a certain place. Like instead of gamifying time, what about gamifying location? So it's like, okay, the ultimate way of being productive is to spend 30 minutes working in the living room, then 30 minutes working in the kitchen, 30 minutes working outside. Boom, suddenly you have a method. You can put a cool name on it, you can make a class about it, you can write a book about it, you can make a workbook about it, you can make a list of ways to make the best of your 30-minute in different locations thing, and you can, the next thing you know, you could have your TED Talk. Like, this is a really, really powerful thing, to create formulas and then to create systems and flesh them out. So this is a starting point. This isn't going to give you a complete system, but it's going to give you a starting point, get your brain really, really ticking for ways to create your own products. And I'm being really serious about this when I say, like, people want to have fun. If you add gamification to things, it makes them memorable in people's heads. It makes them talk about it. I don't like using the word make. It encourages them to talk about it on Facebook, on social media, to draw attention to your product. Like, people get excited by things that are gamified, that are structured. BuzzFeed is a magic formula, that whole concept of lists. People love lists and checkboxes. If you can put those into your information product, even handouts. Handouts can be great if they're just a list, the top 10 ways to do whatever, or the top 10 things you need to know about this. People love structures. So let's get playing with this. As I say, you have two categories with the Formulizer. On one side, you have things that you can add a formula to or create a formula about. Now, you might already have a niche like knitting or yoga or dancing. If that's the case, you can just look at the second category. You've already chosen your niche. If you have no idea at all, you can browse through this and pick something that appeals to you. It's also really good for creating seasonal products. So for example, on Amazon, I love selling seasonal bundles, greetings cards, t-shirts, journals. So you might want to look at this to create seasonal products. You can also do life transitions. And this is a really powerful thing to create a magic formula for. For example, people love products that celebrate the birth of a baby. So baby showers are one way of gamifying a baby's arrival. You also have rituals like baptisms, naming ceremonies. Those kind of fit into magic formulas as well. And also the really big one that's super popular now is gender reveals. And people have all kinds of creative ways of revealing the gender of a baby. Like popping balloons and seeing if blue or pink comes out, or piñatas, or like all kinds of creative ways. So these kind of things are gamification. They stem from a magic formula. So let's get rolling with this and generate some magic formulas. So I'm going to use the randomizer. There is a completely random tool in here for generating magic formulas. And you can use this two ways. If you don't like the suggestions that come up, that's fine. You can just click again until you find one that you do like. Or you can be a bit hard on yourself and really challenge yourself to come up with some ideas for a formula, even if it seems a little bit out there or crazy. Because sometimes the best ideas come from the weirdest intersects. So let's go with this, and we're going to conjure the first formula. Okay, so this is a fun one. This is drawn from perspectives. So I have several types of creative prompts in the Formulizer that you can apply to these events. You can apply game mechanics, perspectives, system structures, metaphors, or Katharyne's creativity unblockers. And this one has drawn from perspectives. So it says, for example, sleep. What would someone very image conscious do? Whoa, that's kind of a cool idea. So you can ignore the picture or you can take the picture if it helps you. Sometimes I find the picture is a distraction and I just ignore it and just go, oh, look at the pretty picture. Sometimes I might use it consciously and say, well, I like this idea of a Ferris wheel. Could you maybe create, so that immediately gives me an idea for a simple product, which would be a sleep hypnosis tape or CD. In this day and age, it would be a CD or a downloadable file that maybe talks through a script of a fairground. Like you're on a peaceful Ferris wheel, it's going around and around, you feel nice and calm. Like, boom, suddenly you have a couple of products. You could have a CD recording a hypnosis tape, meditation tape, or you could sell a script or a collection of scripts for sleeping. Now, I kind of glossed over what would someone very image conscious do. But, you know, when I start digging into that, it gives me a million ideas. Maybe there's something you can do like sleep jewelry. Oh, like you could have an essential oil pendant that releases like lavender oil that helps you calm and go to sleep. That's not so much a digital product. I think to use that digitally, you would have to create guidelines or a how-to on that, but you can really go down some rabbit holes with this to generate ideas for physical products and digital products. So let's go again, conjure a formula. Wow, you're joining a new faith and the system structure is tree branches. Wow, that's a really interesting one. So what would you give to someone to welcome them to a new faith? Let's say they've maybe joined a new church. Perhaps you could create a workbook. Perhaps you could create songs or something like that, or a prayer book, maybe a guidance. Oh, so now this gives me an idea that you could create a prayer tree, perhaps. I don't know if that's a thing. That you could create a poster or a handout or a downloadable printable that has a picture of a tree, and perhaps the branches of the tree each point to an important prayer or an important moment in the history of your church or your faith. It could be a spiritual thing. And of course, like if church doesn't appeal to you, if religion doesn't appeal to you, maybe you could see this in a different way. Like, for example, new faith in yourself. Like if you were going to create a product about you and motivation and inspiration, maybe you could do a tree of you. Like, what would the tree of you look like? What do you need to improve about yourself to have new self-confidence? And then you could call it the personality tree. You can create a book. You can create a poster. You can create, like, all kinds of things, a whole course on it. You could have a course where you talk about the different branches of the tree. Like, okay, so branch 1, let's talk about your physical fitness, your wellness. Branch 2, let's talk about spiritual and meditation. Branch 3, let's talk about improving your memory, your learning, your writing skills. You could totally structure this whole product around the concept of a tree branch. Let's do one more. Passover. What could someone who is always cold do? So I feel like this kind of taps more into physical products. Like, it would be great. Maybe you could have a Passover blanket or something that you could wear when celebrating Passover and it's cold. I'm sure you could create a physical product around this. Let's go again moving home and spectrums. That's an interesting one. So, I don't know, could you, and I like the little picture of a tricycle as well. I don't know, have you guys got any ideas? Or what do you think you could do with moving home and the concept of spectrums? So I think about spectrums, I think of rainbows, I think of colours. So perhaps you could colour code, you could colour code a moving home system. So, I've got it, you could have boxes, you could have coloured boxes for different areas of the house. And here's your digital product. You could create printable, coloured labels for the different rooms in your house. So you have like pink for bedroom, blue for kitchen. People could buy that for $5 on Etsy or Gumroad. And of course, now they have a package of printable labels that they can put on their boxes. And you just created a whole system that revolutionizes moving home. Whoa. You can also go in different directions with spectrum. I mean, for me, I think about sort of the autism spectrum, which makes me think of, like, how do you help a child through the process of moving home? Maybe you could create a book for Create Space about that. And one thing you can do is, if you're creating a product that's for a particular niche, like moving home for kids on the autism spectrum, one thing that you can do is curate information from elsewhere. Like, there is a lot of information about how to deal with anxiety for kids on the autism spectrum. You can bring that information into moving home and just tailor it to moving home. Obviously, put it in your own words. Don't steal anything that's copyright, but you can absolutely curate information from a bigger concept like autism spectrum in general and bring that down to be relevant specifically to moving home. So do think about that as well. Let's do another one. Conjure formula. This is a great one. First kiss, system structures, acronym or a mnemonic. So I love doing things with acronyms. For the Magic Formulas course, I created a system called Money Mecca. And Mecca stood for mystery shopping, eBay, coupons, contests, and Amazon, I think, was the 5 elements of making money. How do you put an acronym into first kisses? Well, my thought with this would be dating guides for kids, perhaps, or for teenagers. Maybe you could create an acronym to, almost like, because I'm thinking about trends right now and Me Too, and the concept of consent is very, very important for teenagers. When you're educating teenagers, you talk about consent. So maybe you could create an acronym around the idea of consent. Like, I don't know, you could look at factors like how long they've known each other, how comfortable, there you go, CONSENT. You could do sort of like comfortable, I don't know, O's a hard one. Maybe you could cheat it and put honesty. I don't know. But you could look at these factors and have it as a dating guide for kids to see how comfortable they feel with each other before they start going on dates. Like, that could be a very simple concept with this. So let's do one more, because this is kind of addictive. Patriotic and armed services. What is the most boring thing about this to you? Well, that's an interesting one. Okay, patriotic and armed services. What is the most boring thing about this to you? Okay, so that's an interesting one. I don't know a whole lot about the armed services. My thought with this is maybe you have to stand straight for a long time, right? I remember when I was in Girls' Brigade, this is going way back to when I was little, we had Girls' Brigade and we had to like wear little dresses and little hats, and it was very kind of military. That's kind of the closest I've got. We had to stand a lot and do parades a lot. So maybe you could do like a guide about how to stand still for long periods of time, or you could do maybe like a meditation of how something you can concentrate on or think about if you have to stand still for long periods of time. And remember, these are just starting points. Like, if it generates an idea, like, don't feel bad or feel guilty. Like, I could look at this and go, I don't want to touch this because I don't want to like disrespect the troops and I don't want to say anything bad. You're being creative. You're being open-minded. Go with it. Generate all the ideas you like. It really doesn't matter sort of where you go from this. It can be a popular opinion, an unpopular opinion. just come up with the ideas. And if you, like, for example, I've kind of gone off on this tangent, as the product's called, about standing still and ways to focus on standing still. It also made me think about dancers and when they spin around and they're like spotting. Like, it doesn't matter if you go off on some tangents and come up with some more ideas. You can always censor yourself later. And one of the biggest hurdles people face with creativity is they start censoring themselves, like straight from the bat. Don't do that. Let yourself generate ideas. Let yourself really play with these ideas and word associations, what they help you come up with. Like, don't set too strict limits on yourself. And we'll do one more. Coffee and tea time. What would your best friend do? And I love this because this generates a whole lot of really nice... And I love the picture with this one as well. It makes me think of being in a lovely place, having a really nice coffee with my best friend, talking about things. And the funny thing is, it reminds me of a show I used to do on YouTube called Coffee with Katharyne. And I would literally sit in my backyard and talk to people about whatever was on my mind, usually things focused on reselling. So that's what comes to mind with me. Like, okay, you could do a coffee time video or a coffee time show. But of course you could do things like greetings cards, like a best friend card with, we should do coffee. Like, how great is that? Just a simple sort of, we should do coffee. And boom, you've got an idea there. You could do an app, you could do a website where you generate coffee vites. Oh, coffeevites.com. And it's like a coffee invite that you send to your best friend and says, I want to do coffee with you. And you could even tag it in with maybe a Starbucks gift card. Maybe you could even, I don't know if there's any affiliate deals on Starbucks, but maybe you could sort of send them a Starbucks gift card. And so for you as the website creator, maybe you make some money off this by having affiliate links to coffee and tea. Like, there's a lot of directions you can go with that. So coffeevites.com is my idea for that. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed exploring this with me in Tangent. If you buy the annual subscription to Tangent, you actually get my Magic Formulas course with it that goes into much more detail about specific projects you can create using magic formulas. I think this is a really fun tool. Use it as a starting point if you're stuck, if you need a little dose of creativity. You can actually use it for anything. You can use this to generate marketing ideas. You can use it to generate content ideas for your books, your videos. And of course, you can use it to create whole new product lines, brands, digital products, courses, classes. It is a really, really powerful tool. So you can find out more information about Tangent at tangent.rocks. It's http tangent.rocks. We have a whole video on there about product ideas, and there is so much more to Tangent. There's niches, keywords, the Explorer. We have a character generator for authors and artists and marketers. Marketers like characters. We have snow clones for slogan generation. Like, we have a whole bunch of cool stuff in here. So do check that out. Hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you come up with any awesome magic formulas for your own products. I do hope you do. And have a great day. All right, guys. Bye.